What's going on, guys? 4 new videos, 10 new photos, dropped by House Democrats, and yet still not the list. Why now? Why these? And what's with the bizarre room? Masks on the wall, a freaking dentist chair in the middle. Tonight we're going to break down what's been released, what hasn't, and why the timing of all this raises more questions than answers. And we'll talk about the victims, the buildings, the raid, and the abuses that may have taken place behind all of those closed doors that are there. So, good place to start. Let's start with the release. Democrats say this release is about transparency, that they want the Justice Department to comply with the law requiring the Epstein files to be made public by December 19th. I think that's great. I couldn't want more. This should have been released years ago. But here's the problem. Instead of the names, instead of the full flight logs or the client list, we get photos, videos, which, don't be fooled for a second, are nothing more than carefully selected snapshots of what they got. Also, just like with virtually everything else, timing matters. Dropping shocking visuals in December, it keeps the attention focused, but also raises my suspicion. Why these images? Why now? But with these photos, can we address this right here? This room with the masks and the chair? This is one of the most striking images, and as you can see, it shows a room with masks on the wall and what looks like a dentist or even a freaking gynecologist chair. And understandably so, the conspiracy theories are already just being formed faster than we came up with them. There's the occult ritual theory, and they can see how masks are symbols of anonymity and the chair some sort of ritualistic prop, or the mind control theory that the chair's being linked to the MK Ultra style experiments and the masks are representing hidden identities. Or, and possibly even more troubling, just the simple intimidation theory that having a room like that, a room that is staged to unsettle or control the victims psychologically. And then right behind that one is this one that got me right here. This office with a blackboard and a phone, but parts of the blackboard are deliberately blacked out before release. So what was hidden? But was it names? Was it schedules? Were they coded notes? And why aren't those details shared? And all that does is just leave the viewers to wonder what was concealed. Now, yeah, they could have been to protect sensitive information that, people not directly tied to Epstein's crimes, or possibly individuals or financial records that are still under legal review. Or the blackboard may have contained the names of associates or victims, or listed transactions, schedules, or even could have been coded references to Epstein's banking ties. No matter what the redactions are, they definitely seem like a deliberate protection of elites, feeding suspicion that the most incriminating evidence is being withheld. The other detail that can be picked up on this is this landline phone that was on the desk, and this has the name written on the speed dial buttons, but again, certain parts of these are blacked out. The only things that are visible are the names Darren, Rich, Mike, Patrick, and Larry. And why this matters, the blackboard photos highlight the tensions between claimed transparency and selective disclosure. If the goal is really openness, then why redact any of it at all? Every blurred line fuels speculation that the public is being shielded from the truth. And as with the masks and the dentist chair photo, the strangeness of the imagery makes it just ripe for conspiracy theories. But then getting past these images, we have to ask, if you're going to release this, Why not the list? Because here's the elephant in the room. If transparency is the goal, why haven't we seen the list yet? Give us the names of the powerful people who flew on Epstein's planes, who visited the island, who were tied into his network. Instead, we're getting fragments, carefully curated pieces, enough to shock, but not enough to expose. And that raises the question, is this transparency or is this narrative control? And this right here is where the theories get darker. Some say the elites are deliberately drip feeding content to just simply distract from the real evidence. Others argue the release of bizarre imagery, the masks, the chairs, the strange rooms, is just meant to keep the public focused on the spectacle instead of accountability. And then there's even the more cynical route you could go, that the list will never be released because too many powerful names are on it. Politicians, celebrities, financiers, people who shape culture and policy. And if that's true, then what we're seeing and what we're being given is not transparency at all. It's protection. Protection of the very people who benefited from Epstein's network. And here's the crazy irony of this whole thing. You know that there are going to be all sorts of people denouncing any and all conspiracy theories associated with this. But if these elitists, the ones who are going to be denouncing this the loudest, truly don't want conspiracy theories flying around, the answer is simple. Transparency. Conspiracies thrive in the dark. They grow when the information is hidden, when questions go unanswered, when the public is simply just told, hey, just trust us, instead of being given the evidence. Release the list, release the files, release the names, because secrecy doesn't kill conspiracy theories. And if anything, it feeds them. And every time the public sees carefully curated fragments instead of the full truth, suspicion grows. If the true goal of doing all this is to stop speculation, then sunlight is the only cure. And amongst all of this, we really can't forget that everywhere along the line, there are victims. Behind every photo, every building, every strange room, there were young women, some underage, who were trafficked, abused, and silenced. The survivors have testified about being flown to the island, about being forced into encounters with powerful men, and about being trapped in a system that was completely designed to just exploit them. So when we look at these photos, we have to ask, were these rooms designed for intimidation, for some sort of physical control, or for ritualistic abuse, or simply just for the convenience of exploitation? The victims' stories tell us that Epstein's properties weren't just homes or retreats. They were stages for abuse, for manipulation, for control. Now, one of the good things about these photos and videos is that we can possibly start to get a scale of the operation, because Epstein Island wasn't just a mansion. It had multiple structures, like the infamous temple-like building with the blue and white stripes that was very quickly rumored to be used for rituals or just generalized like secret events. Then you have the guest houses and the villas where the victims say the encounters took place. And then you have underground rooms and storage areas, which to me just really fuels speculation about hidden activities, because let's face it, you aren't traveling to a tropical island to stay indoors. You want to be outside in the sun with the salt air, the palm trees, everything else. So what the hell do you need underground rooms for, except for doing things so deviant that you wanted to make sure that there was no possible way that what you were doing could ever be viewed at any time by any sort of outsider? The survivors have described being moved from one building to another, each space serving as a different purpose, whether it was for grooming, for intimidation, or for the abuse. And I'm sorry, but when you see a dentist style chair in a room with masks, you have to wonder, was it medical? Was it physical? Or was it psychological? Or was it just a symbolic way to remind the victims that they were powerless there? And here's another layer people forget. Epstein's island was raided years ago. The federal agents went in, they seized the materials, and supposedly cataloged all the evidence. So when these new photos and videos drop now, people look at them like it's some sort of breaking news. But ask yourself, how much of the real evidence was already removed? How much was hidden, destroyed, or locked away long before the public ever saw a single image? What if most of the damning material, the documents, the recordings, the names, what if they were all taken out in the first raid? What if what we're seeing now are just the leftovers, the scraps that don't threaten the powerful? The survivors have testified about cameras in the buildings, about rooms that seemed like they were designed for surveillance. If those tapes existed, where are they now? Because we can pretty much rest assured that they did exist at some time. Where were they seized? Were they buried, or were they just quietly erased to protect the very people that should have been exposed? That's the haunting question. Are these photos that are being released now transparency, or are they just pure theater? Because if the raid already stripped the island of its most incriminating evidence, then what we're being shown now is less about truth and more just about managing perception. And this is probably one of the most infuriating aspects of this entire thing. Operations like this isn't unheard of. This is nothing new or just a one-off. During the Cold War, both the Soviets and the CIA used psychological operations to control narratives. They knew that shocking imagery and selective leaks and controlled disclosures, that those things altogether could destabilize populations. So ask yourself, are these photos part of a genuine push for justice, or just part of a managed spectacle designed to keep us distracted while the real names stay hidden? Then, quite frankly, there is the bigger picture in all of this, and that is that the Epstein case has always been about more than just one man. It's about networks of power, about secrecy, and about exploitation. And every time new material is released, it raises the same question. Who benefits from what we see? And probably more importantly, who benefits from what we don't see? Because division, distraction, demoralization, those are all powerful tools. And if the public is kept fighting over theories, they may never demand the one thing that matters. And that is the simple truth. So let's cut through all the noise, the 4 videos, the 10 photos, the strange rooms, the masks, all of it. Because we still don't have the list. We still don't have the names. And until that list is released, until the truth is laid bare, every drip of content is nothing more than theater. The victims in all of this deserve more than scraps. The public deserves more than shadows. And if the elites don't want conspiracy theories flying around, then the answer again is simple: transparency. Release the names, release the files, release the truth. Because here's the reality. Secrecy itself breeds suspicion. Silence breeds anger. And every day that passes without full disclosure is another day that people lose faith in the system. So let me leave you with this. If they won't give us transparency, then we demand it. If they won't give us accountability, then we demand it. And if they think that they can hide behind power and privilege forever, then they've underestimated the one force that they can't control, and that is us as the American people. And what we need to do is vote any and all of these people out who voted for any part of this to stay hidden. This isn't just about Epstein. This is about justice. This is about truth. And this is about whether freedom survives or collapses under the weight of corruption. So with that, stay vigilant, stay relentless, and we will not let them burn it down from the inside. We'll see you on the next one. And with that, as always, stay safe.